Welcome back to the Multifamily Marketers Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Grillo, co-founder here at Resident 360. I'm also joined by my co-host, Miss Caroline Mills. Caroline, how are we doing today?
Hi, we are doing good, and I haven't even talked to you about this. I am currently living in the thick of pollen season here in North Carolina. So, I got to go out to lovely California last week, and the pollen decided to hit heavy while I was gone. So I came home, and I'm having all the allergies with pollen season now.
Well, I don't know what it's like in Florida when you move there. So hopefully...
Thankfully, no pollen.
There you go.
Yes, I am just praying to make it through this last spring pollen season before I just have palm trees around me. When are
you moving? What's the move date?
We've got mid-May is kind of what we're scheduled for now. So lease starts a little bit earlier, but we've got some trips. I've got work. We've got different stuff going on. So we're thinking around mid-May there. So I'll be hitting there right at peak, probably reaching 90 degrees down in Florida.
How exciting. You're going to be right near Disney World, right?
I am. Yep. We are very excited. We are, right outside of the Orlando area. So Central Florida there. We visit all the time, but this will definitely be, the longest we're going to stay. We're going to be there for good. So,
well, congratulations. Now, on to the topic of today's show. We're talking about a new Google Maps feature that can completely change how prospects find and evaluate apartments. Now, if you listen to our podcast episode from last week, we actually introduced the Ask Map feature from Google. So today, we're actually going to do a little bit more of a deep dive on it because it is big. So Caroline, why don't you kind of set the stage here? Let's keep it simple and start right from the top. What is the Ask Maps feature?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a brand new feature put out inside Google Maps just as of about 2 weeks ago. So this is very, very new. But really it's AI-powered Q&A, AI-powered chat right there directly in Google Maps. So users can now go in, you can ask natural questions just like you would in a ChatGPT, a Gemini. You can be very conversational with it. So you can go in Maps and you can say, what are the best apartments near me with a pool under $2,000? You can say, what are pet-friendly apartments with parking near downtown? So now instead of having to start these searches in an AI engine or starting these searches on Google, having your answers, comparing, going to Maps, trying to figure it all out. Now you can do it right in Maps. So really, Google is aggregating all of these answers that it's going to come from. It's going to come from your GBP. It's going to come from your reviews. It's going to come from website content and a lot of SEO signals. So I'm really excited for this one. I think it is something that is definitely useful. I think regardless of whatever industry you're in, there is a time where you want to look for a restaurant downtown with parking. You want to look for, a place, my apartment near, my work site, whatever it is. And now you're able to do this all in one platform. So I'm excited for this one.
It kind of sounds like it's like ChatGPT just built right into Google Maps. Is that kind of the idea here, the thought process?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Is it like audio based too? I mean, like in ChatGPT, obviously you can click the audio button and you can talk into it. It talks right back to you. Is it going to be the exact same thing with this Ask Maps?
Yeah, it should be working the same exact way. If you use Gemini, it's going to, it is powered through Gemini. So if you're familiar with that platform, it's going to look the same. It's going to talk the same. It's going to be all the same. But yeah, any kind of AI-based platform that you're used to, now you get to do it all in one platform. So you're keeping users from having to go back and forth and make their search take longer. Now you're just able to do it all at one time.
All right, so let's get into the nitty gritty here. Why should marketers even care? Why should on-site teams, marketing directors, multifamily marketing professionals, why should we even care about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is really telling us that search behavior is shifting. We've kind of talked about this with SEO and GEO, but truly shifting from keywords to questions, to that conversational base. So less reliance on that traditional top 3, top of page. And now the visibility is truly depending on how well your property is answering these kinds of questions. So reviews, this is going to impact your reviews more than ever. We always talk about review. If you've listened to this podcast, that review management is one of my favorite topics, but your reviews are going to now matter more than ever. Amenities and features are clearly going to have to stand out everywhere on all of your listings. And really this means that weak or outdated listings is really going to be lost exposure. So we kind of threw together an example here for you if you're listening to this. We've got property A versus property B. Let's say that property A has detailed reviews that are mentioning that it's quiet, it's dog friendly, and they've got great parking. Maybe property B just has generic info. It's not mentioning any of those key things. So guess which one is going to show up in Maps response when someone says, where is a quiet pet-friendly apartment near me? Where is an apartment with great parking downtown that's pet-friendly? It's going to be that property A. So these are just some examples of, how this is going to be pulling and how people are talking with it.
So back to your example, with property A, how am I getting some of these keywords, would you say, into these reviews? Am I just basically asking my residents, if they're at the dog park that we have on the property, saying, hey, you love the dog park? Will you talk about it in a review for us? Like, what's your suggestion there for anybody listening?
I love that you gave that actual example because, yes, I think it can be very awkward if you're in the leasing office. One, getting used to asking for reviews. It is a little uncomfortable at first until you get used to it. And then two, just like you said, couple it with what a resident is doing. So it won't make a lot of sense if you just see a random resident like walking outside to their car and you don't know if they have pets to ask them to leave a review on the pet park. That's not going to make a lot of sense. But yeah, absolutely. You see them using the amenity. They come in and talk to you about it. They say, oh my gosh, I just moved here and my dog loves your dog park. We've been down there twice a day, every day for a week. You say, oh my gosh, I love that you love our dog park. Could you please leave us a review mentioning that? We're really proud of that feature and we'd love to see it talked about more. Very conversational based, but make it natural where it makes sense. Somebody's getting coffee, ask them about the coffee machine. Somebody is, pulling up and unloading their groceries right in front of their door, have them mention things about parking. Just anything that makes sense and very natural for the resident to enjoy leaving a review about.
Would it make sense, I just thought of this, to have little QR code signage that says, love the coffee machine? Let us know about it in the reviews with QR code, right? Love the dog park?
Absolutely.
Let us know about it in your review, QR code. Now, I guess that could go either way, right? If
someone hates it.
But that would be a way to stimulate it and make it very easy, right?
Yeah. I think so too. And that's a great way to do it. One, if your team is limited on the hours that you're there, if you don't have all of the time in the world to be asking these residents because you close at 5 and people are primarily using maybe the entertainment room after 5, you don't have time to ask them about that then. Or they're using the gym after work and you're gone after work. I think that could be a great way to incorporate those. Or you just don't have a full team and you're running slim and you just don't have the ability to run around everywhere. Absolutely doing some of these and just mentioning it to people when they walk by.
All right. So let's nerd out a little bit on this topic. How is Google actually pulling these answers?
Yes. And I think it's one of the things we've talked about with AI. It's going to be working the same way. It's pulling from millions of data points across all of these different platforms. But really, you're searching in Gemini and in Google Maps. It's going to be your GBP categories, the amenities included on your GBP, as well as your description. We also are going to be looking at review keywords and sentiment. We've talked about this a little bit with AI overviews on the reviews themselves. And then your website content. So remember, your website is linked right there in your GBP. It's going to be scanning it the same exact way. So especially want to focus on those SEO optimized pages. And then overall, just AI summaries and recommendation options. It is really just going to quickly aggregate and pull all of this information together. It's pulling where your location is downtown. It's pulling in what's in around you. So really, this is where this is where the whole concept comes in of what generative AI is going to start doing for our prospective renters.
All right. Well, what should teams actually do after listening to this show?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple things right off the bat is I would say number one is optimizing your GBP. We actually have an entire episode on this a few episodes back, all about optimizing your GBP and what all needs to be included. Filling out every field, your NAP, which is your name, address, phone number, making sure it's completely accurate. Make sure you're using natural language in this, because remember, these people are going to just be asking questions and be conversational with it. So don't try and keyword stuff here. This is the time that we just want to be very conversational. I would say rethinking review strategy is, like we just talked about, encouraging residents to really mention these key specific amenities, the things they love, maybe your team, just all of that kind of stuff, and making sure that you're really responding to these reviews. We talk about it all the time, but responding in detail. So instead of just saying, thanks for the 5 stars, you're responding and saying, thanks for loving our dog park so much. We love that you and Spot love it. We can't wait to see you again soon. Something like that that's mentioning it back. Again, doesn't need to be keyword stuffy, but just taking that time to do that. And then I would say, we talk about website content all the time. We talk about FAQ pages. We talk about that, but this is just continuing to feed into that. So adding FAQ style content. Is this apartment pet friendly? What's parking like here? So again, really using that conversational phrasing of how that person is going to type and search. A couple other things. We've got consistency. We talk about this again all the time. It's in our digital curb appeal. That's one of our first episodes, actually. If you go back and listen, that's a great one. So really making sure that your GBP, your website, your ILS is all aligned, all sharing the same address, same phone number, same everything across there. We don't want outdated or conflicting info. And then I would say, really the last thing is put yourself in there. I always say, put your prospect hat on, pretend you're the renter. What kind of questions would you ask if you were looking to move here? And you say, okay, well, I know I'm near downtown. I would probably ask what restaurants are around me. Okay, let's make sure that's included in reviews or it's on your website. So really take a moment to think, if you were the prospect, what kind of things are you going to be asking in your area?
All right. So you think this is just a trend, or is this kind of going to be the future?
I think this is here to stay for sure. So this is something that's not just going to impact the multifamily and the renter industry. I mean, think about all the different things that we're going to use this for in the future. How many times have you typed into Google, shoe store around me, restaurants open till 8 around me, restaurants with reservations around me? Now it'll just be so much easier. And then you're going to the maps and you're searching where it is and how long it's going to take you. I think this is absolutely going to be something here to stay. So Google is just blending now their different tools, which I think is great. So they're blending search, they're blending assistance, they're blending local discovery. And so your early adopters here will definitely win that visibility. So we're really moving away from who ranks highest to the who answers best.
All right, let's wrap this up with just a couple of quick rapid fire questions for you, Caroline. First one, are you ready? All
yes.
right. One mistake to avoid.
Ooh, I would say is thinking, okay, I'm SEO optimized. That's it. I'm go. But not taking that time to really see if you're GEO optimized, if you are conversation, and if you are answering those questions. Just because you have the keywords doesn't mean you're answering the questions.
Okay. Number 2, one quick win.
One quick win, take 5 minutes. Just really make sure that you're looking across all of those platforms that Google's going to be looking across, making sure that info is up to date, it's accurate, and it's consistent.
And last one thing marketers should prioritize this quarter.
Absolutely. I think absolutely prioritizing this after everything we talk about GEO and like how this is trending in the industry, absolutely prioritizing it and just get in the feature yourself. Go to Ask Maps and start trying it out, see how it's working. So I would say absolutely prioritizing, your GBP, making sure it's all up to date, your digital curb appeal. All of this is always important, but it's going to matter now more than ever.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb, is to actually use it, test it out, try the Ask Maps, see how it works for yourself so you can fully optimize your property for it. All right, Caroline, as always, that was incredible. And that will be a wrap for the show today. We will be back next week with another episode of the Multifamily Marketers Podcast. Take care, guys, and thanks for listening.
Thank you, guys. Bye.